It's important to understand the role of inputs and outputs and how they are mapped between different steps in your flow. They provide the paths the flow takes, and you can create those paths through a simple drag and drop process. Inputs are the empty spaces you see in connectors and functions. Outputs are the draggable tiles you see on trigger functions, actions, and events. Using both, you can define data mappings and share data between applications by clicking and dragging an output to the appropriate input. You should consider renaming your outputs to make them easier to identify. While an output can be mapped to multiple inputs, an input will only accept a single output. Multiple output mappings can be very useful when creating branching flows. This is important to keep in mind when using the conditional functions we discussed in an earlier lesson. All inputs and outputs have a type, and you can easily identify it by hovering over the input or output for a moment. Types include files, true and false, objects, number, and date and time. Types are very important to keep in mind because your flow will only work if they properly match. The type of input or output dictates what type of output or input can be associated with it. Built-in rules that will let you know if your types don't match up. Make sure all of the types match up so that you can save your flow. As you can see in this list result, all the numbers in the list are in quotations. Because quotations imply they are strings of text rather than numbers, the sum function can't add them up. Therefore, this issue could be resolved by making sure the list data type is set to only store numbers and not strings of text. If the list items were numbers, they would not have quotations surrounding them. Understanding raw data formats can be very helpful when troubleshooting data mismatches in your flows. We'll discuss this in more detail in future lessons.